Hi Sarah, it's so lovely to meet you in person at
Oh,
last. And what we're going to do today is just have a really good chat so you can give me as much detail about the issues that you're facing as possible, and then we'll try and make a plan of how we're going to move forward. We've got an hour, so there's no rush, okay? So you can take your time. So why don't you just start by telling me about the things that are going on at the moment then, all right?
okay. Basically, everything's a mess. Everything feels such a mess. I'm not sleeping well. That was why I went along to the GP in the first place. I lie awake at night staring at the roof. I'm worried about paying my rent. So basically, my biggest issue is keeping the roof over my head. I'm worried about paying my gas, buying food, and now Christmas is coming, and I'm really stressing about Christmas. And I know that everything is shut at the moment too.
Right, okay, no problem. So that's quite a lot of things
Yeah.
going on in your mind, and I can hear from your voice how worried you are. Hopefully we can try to combat some of these things today for you, okay? One thing that I'll just kind of start with, you mentioned there obviously that things are shut still. I just wanted to let you know that's not really the case anymore. There is quite a lot of services that are now open again for in-person services, but there's also been a lot of kind of changes to how services are supporting people. So it may be that some services will deal with you over the phone, some will be in person, some might be a video call, but the support is still there, okay? So I don't want you to think it isn't, all right? Why don't you tell me then, out of those, because you obviously kind of gave me quite a few there, which is the most stressful thing for you?
It's between keeping the roof over my head and the feeling of isolation. That would be my thing. So the roof over my head, I need to deal with the dampness, the heating, paying for my heating, and the isolation. I really like living here, living where I live, and I had a great sense of community. Pre-lockdown, things have changed since then. It's not the same as how it used to be. So that would be my reason for feeling quite isolated with everything being shut, as I thought previously, that. So keeping the roof over my head and that feeling of isolation is two major issues for me.
So you've mentioned the dampness. Is your house a private tenancy or a social tenancy?
It's a private.
A private tenancy, okay. And you mentioned your heating as well, so what's going on there?
Well, it's really just keeping the heating on because of the dampness. I don't like to turn the heating off. So I'm keeping it on all the time, but it's
expensive.
It's really expensive. So that's in my head all the time, like sitting there staring at the roof and worrying that it's not drying out and the heating's on foot blasting.
Yeah, it's a vicious circle then, isn't it? Yeah. I totally understand why, these things are obviously, really playing on your mind. What we need to do is break the issues down into chunks and try and tackle them one by one, okay? So there's a range of supports available across Inverclyde, statutory services, voluntary services, and we're really well served in terms of the support we've got. So hopefully we can find the right ones that fit for you. What I think we need to do, obviously you've touched on money slightly and to do with heating in the house and things, and worrying about Christmas and stuff, is let's get a benefit entitlement check done as a first port of call. They would assess what benefits you're on, your income, your expenditure, and make sure that you're getting everything that you're entitled to based on your situation. So we'll do that. The power and heating issue, heating's expensive at the moment. It's never out of the news, is it? So there is an organisation locally called iHeat, and their service is to support people to make sure that they are on the correct tariff, they're on the best tariff for what they need, that they're not spending money they don't need to, that the heating systems are suitable and fit for purpose, and they will liaise between you and the power companies, and they've kind of got backdoor access into the power companies. So I think they would be really helpful in this instance, okay? And I think as well we need to look at the issue with the damp. So you've mentioned it's a private landlord. Can you tell me, have you raised this issue with them at all?
I have. It was it was pre-lockdown. In fact, I think I contacted my landlord about it just a week before we went into lockdown, so I can understand that nobody was able to come into the house to have a look at it. So I haven't contacted them again since. Right. Because I wasn't aware that now people will be able to come in and have a look.
So you've been sitting on this issue for 2 years, really? Goodness me, that must be so frustrating. Yeah, like you said, during the lockdown, there was a bit of a freeze on things getting done to people's houses, repairs and things like that. But that has been lifted now. People are getting access to the properties for repairs and things. and there's new ways that we can make sure that we can get the evidence across if it isn't appropriate for the landlord to come into your property. So we can use pictures, videos, those types of things. How would you say you are in terms of technology?
I'm not very good. I can take pictures, but I would need maybe, I don't know how I would send them to you if it's emailing.
Right.
I don't have an email address, so I probably need some support to or help to do that.
Okay, no, that's fine. And I think digital support is something that's really come into its own during lockdown. So I can definitely facilitate some support for you to kind of enhance your digital skills and make sure obviously that you are able to contact the companies and the organisations you need to through your phone or a computer or something like that. All right.
Okay.
So the other thing that you touched on, which I don't want to gloss over, but I know it's not kind of the most pressing issue at the moment, was you feeling quite isolated. So you mentioned you thought services were all closed, and in some aspects there are different ways that people are socialising now because of COVID. But why don't you tell me a bit about what you liked to do before COVID so that I can see what might be suitable?
Well, financially I wasn't able to do a lot, but I spent time with my friends, and I like walking.
Right.
I would go out walking. I don't know, that was kind of all I've done. Really.
And do you feel, though, you've spent nearly 2 years sitting at home feeling quite isolated, how do you feel in terms of your confidence about going out and meeting new people?
I would need support, I think, to do that. I'm confident. I don't want to go to groups and all that with a lot of people at the moment. I would like to find something that maybe, I don't know, that I don't honestly know.
Okay, no, don't worry,
I don't know.
it's fine, and that's what I'm here for, is to take you through what options there are, and I don't want to go too much in detail with this because I know we're covering quite a lot with the other issues, but just so you can start having a think about it for next time when we'll maybe tackle this in more detail, is, I can support you to access groups from your home, so be it over the phone or on a video call. But also if you did want to try going to a community group, I can accompany you the first time or 2 times, just so that you feel a little bit more confident. Or we also work with a local organisation who, their whole purpose is to connect people to the community, so they can also support you with that. So, you don't need to feel like you'd be going alone with it. But there's loads of things locally, and you mentioned walking, and there's some great walking groups locally as well. So these are all things that we can tap into. All right. So what I think we need to do is make an action plan for what we're going to do for the immediate core issue, which is the housing and the money, and then we will come back to the social isolation maybe once we've ticked a few things off the list then, because I don't want to overwhelm you with too much at one time. So first of all, I'm going to refer you, with your permission, for a benefit entitlement check. Okay, is that all right with you?
Fine.
Perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'll refer you to an organisation, and they will contact you probably to set up a phone appointment to go through that. Now, what you would need to do is to look out your benefit award letters, and just maybe to have a bank statement so you've got an idea of what you're spending in which area, or even if you jot them down, because they're going to want to know what your incomes and your outgoings are. All right. I'll also refer you to that power company that I mentioned called iHeat. So they're going to then help you to make sure you're on the right tariff for your heating, you're not spending too much, and that everything's as it should be there. Okay. So they'll contact you for an appointment for that as well. Sometimes they've been doing over the phone. They used to visit at the home as well, so I'm not quite sure where they're up to with that at the moment, but they'll tell you when they give you a call. All right. The dampness issue, I think we need to get pictures. I'll support you with how we can get those sent across, and we'll get them over to environmental health and obviously to your landlord as well, to see if we can figure out how we can get that resolved, because that's not appropriate to be living in a home with damp. All right. Do those action plans sound okay for you at the moment? And then we will come back to the isolation issue next time. All right. So what I'll do is I'll leave you to take those calls, set up all those appointments once I've done the referrals, and if there's any issues at all, you need to have a chat about anything, you've got my work mobile number, please just get in contact, and I'll check back in with you in the next week or so.
Brilliant, thank you.
All right,
Thank
no
you very
problem.
much.
Thank you.